My name is Ramin Barani. I'm the writer and director of The White Tiger, and this is Story Behind the Script. This scene is in the middle of the film. Balram is a servant to this rich family, and the night before there's been a terrible accident where one of his two masters, his wife, they were driving drunk and she took control of the car and she crashed into a kid and killed the kid. And Balram's coming into the scene thinking that the entire family is here, proud of him for protecting his masters. But then something terrible happened, so it's a real turning point in the movie.
You good?
बढ़िया sir.
Have you spoken with anyone about what happened last night?
नहीं सर, गाड़ी साफ करके सो गए अपना.
Good.
जी सर.
It's important that you not say a word to anyone.
जी सर.
Pan khaoge?
नहीं सर.
This character is normally quite cruel to him. This is the brother of the master, and here he's suddenly treating him like family.
Arre, open it, open it. Wow, sahi hai.
बहुत बढ़िया सर.
The judge has been taken care of. If your man does what he's supposed to do, you'll have nothing to worry about.
My man.
So there's actually not a lot of setups in this scene. The number of shots are not, there's not a lot of them, but this is always meant to be an over the shoulder on the mongoose. He's always in an over. But this is the main shot of the film, which is on a wide lens on a steady cam, which I wanted the camera to move to Balram's face as he's reading this forced confession. And Adarsh is such a great actor that watching his performance ended up moving everybody on the day, which doesn't happen often on a film set where the whole cast and even the crew, even the grips are suddenly moved by a performance. And it's due to this great actor.
बाद में समझाएंगे. जोर से पढ़ो.
That I panicked and refused my obligations to the injured party and fled the scene, that I was alone in the car and alone responsible.
And really here, Balram, what's so amazing is he is trying to understand what's happened to him. He's trying to remain a servant. You can see the facade he has of smiling. It's just, that's part of the theme of the film, that it's been so ingrained in him to be a servant that he can't imagine it any other way. And part of his journey in this film towards freedom, towards breaking out of the trap of servitude, includes a mental servitude. Most of this is scripted, but I always love the actors to improvise, to come up with their own ideas. And the Ashok character really wanted to protest this scene more.
Treating him like an idiot.
Keep quiet, Ashok.
We shouldn't do this.
Balram, sign.
We shouldn't do this. It's not right.
But why don't you and Pinky go to the police station and tell them what happened? If you understand law, then handle this. Otherwise, just shut up.
We improvised some lines with the mongoose that ended up really getting him to be quiet. That do you want to go to the police, and bring your wife, we'll go down there if you understand law better than me.
Balram, just go on. Balram, लो भाई. Sign कर दो भाई. ये देखो. यहाँ पर.
After Balram signed, he starts saying things like, aren't we brothers? Don't we hang out together? These kind of improvisations were amazing because it was so double-faced and Balram had no choice but to nod. And here his performance is just overwhelming, I find. The tear and the smile at the same time is one of the contradictions of the film. And one of the impact, the overwhelming impact of servitude, which we see all over the world now, which could come from many reasons: caste, class, race. The one that is the most frightening to me is class servitude, the growing gap in wealth inequality around the world. We see servants like Balram all over the Western world now. We have a Rolodex of servants in our telephones: Uber drivers, seamless delivery people, TaskRabbit workers that we can call. This I always wanted to be a high-angle shot, slowly pushing in, with no cutting. We had so many close-ups, now is the time to be high and wide and to feel his loneliness and his sense of loss. And this is improvised, that Balram would walk back to the door, but knows there's nothing he can do. This next sequence outside, we did quite quickly. Actually, we were late for lunch. The cinematographer, Paolo Carnera, had a great idea to put the camera up here. And I said yes, and put it on a zoom lens, because I'm going to want to zoom at some point. And the actor and I talked. He said, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "Well, as usual, I want you to go with your gut." And he had this idea of throwing his shoes, which I never expected. And when he did this, he looked, I quickly thought, my God, we should get this POV shot of the dizzying impact of these rich apartment towers to make him stumble. And I noticed this grass here, these tall weeds, and I asked the actor, Adarsh, what do these remind you of? And he said, my childhood village. I said, it reminds me of the exact same thing. Could you use it in the scene? And so he went and discovered this moment, which I found so moving, where he hides in there to go to some place to find safety or whatever he's looking for. And I always imagined it would cut to this shot, so I had planned this shot accordingly, with that movement around that chandelier to find him. And this is the first time in the movie that we break the fourth wall.
To think of this again makes me so angry that I might go out and cut the throat of some rich man right now.
I spent about probably a year writing the script, and we shot the movie in 60 days. And then it was almost, the post-production period was long. It was almost 10, 11 months. The idea of telling stories about unseen, unheard voices is something I've done in my career, and of telling a story of a man who just wants to be free, who wants to reach his potential as a human being and is trapped by societal forces, is a story I'm really drawn to, and I think many, many people could relate to. Of course, his journey takes him on some quite bizarre twists and turns, and he does some unethical and crazy things to get to his freedom. But we don't necessarily have to agree with his decisions, but I do feel audiences around the world came to understand them and connect to them.
Not just to me, but to my family. And that takes no normal human being, but a freak, a pervert of nature. It would, in fact, take a white tiger